Okay, welcome back. Super excited to do this video today. We're back in our Bible study series. Was the book of Jude written after 70 AD? This is episode 20. We're revisiting Jude verse 5. Today's title is called Deuteron, meaning the second time. And if you're not a preterist yet, you might be one in a few minutes. And if you're a preterist and you're not convinced yet that the book of Jude was written after 70 AD, I think you might find yourself in that camp as well today. So our objective, again, we're just going to look just strictly at Jude verse 5 to see that Jude was written after Jesus' coming in 70 AD. So let's look at the verse itself. It says, "Now, I want to remind you, although you once fully knew it, that Jesus, who saved the people out of the land of Egypt, the second time destroyed those who did not believe." And if that sounds strange to you, that second time, it sounded strange to me too. The reason why is hardly any Bible translators translate it as the second time. They'll usually put subsequently or afterward, but we're going to show in this video that it needs to be translated the second time. I do have one thing to say here. If you haven't watched episode 18 yet, that's again the one that we dealt with verse 5 already. I encourage you to check that out. I don't want to rehash everything we looked at that, but just in a summary, we proved that Jesus is the proper translation there and not the Lord. And we also proved, and this is very important, that Egypt, as far as Jude is concerned, is Jerusalem, because Jude is writing after 70 AD. He already had the book of Revelation. He knew that Revelation chapter 11, verse 8 described Jerusalem as Sodom and Egypt. Again, I've got all the details on that one in that video. We don't want to rehash that. So today's revelation, what we're looking at is this word Deuteron, which literally means the second time. And I'll quickly share with you how I got to this conclusion here. So last night, I happened to be just looking at Jude in the American Standard Version, and I don't even know why. This must have just been some divine appointment. It caught my eye that there was a little footnote here by subsequently. So I clicked on the footnote, and what do I see? It says literally the second time. So let's read that verse again. It says, "Now I desire to remind you, though you know all things once for all, that the Lord," again, that could be translated Jesus and should be translated Jesus, "after saving the people out of the land of Egypt, subsequently destroyed those who did not believe." But again, the second time, it should say destroyed those who did not believe. So when people take this verse and they think it's talking about Jesus being in the Exodus or in the wilderness, that's not what happened. And I can understand, I can sympathize with the translator, because it didn't jive to him, because he wasn't a preterist, right? There was no second event coming out of Egypt. There was no second time in the wilderness when Jesus destroyed those who did not believe. This is not talking about the Exodus event. This is talking about the second coming of Christ in 70 AD. So again, when you see a note like that says, literally it says this, I like to go to the Greek concordance. Again, I am not a Greek expert. I'm just some guy who I got a concordance here. I can check it out on Blue Letter Bible. So the word is Deuteron, and every single time this is translated, it's translated to say a second time. Let's look at an example here out of the fourth gospel. It says, this is Nicodemus talking to Jesus. It says, "Can a man enter a second time into his mother's womb?" That's very specific, a second time. And then we have, this is again the second sign that Jesus did. It's not just simply subsequent or afterward. It's very specific all the way through until what? Until you get to Jude verse 5, and then people start substituting subsequently or afterwards. Why? Again, because it didn't make sense to them that there was a second event in Egypt, because there wasn't. But what there was, as far as Jude was looking at, he was looking back on the second coming of Christ. It's just amazing stuff when I saw this. And I'd like to go to Hebrews 9. One of the only verses, at least prior to seeing this about Jude, that mentioned, talked in the language of a second coming was Hebrews 9:28. And it says, "To those who eagerly wait for him, he will appear a second time apart from salvation." So let's look at the word here. Here it is, second time. Deutero. It's the same root word as we had in Jude. So again, second with the article in the second place, a second time, very specific. So the author of Hebrews, and we can argue all day who that was, that's for another video for another day, he was looking forward to a second time when Jesus was going to come. And what was Jude doing? He was looking back on that second of coming that had already happened. This is just crazy. There's just no way around this. I don't know how anyone who takes the word of God seriously in the original language, getting past all these translation issues, it's a done deal. So one more time, we'll just look at our verse. It says, now I want to remind you, although you once fully knew it, that Jesus, who saved the people out of the land of Egypt, the second time destroyed those who did not believe. So our conclusion again, as with all these videos, Jude verse 5 is confirmation that Jesus returned in 70 AD, and Jude verse 5 is confirmation that the book of Jude was written after 70 AD. Please let me know if you have any questions or comments. And until next time, as always, contend earnestly for the faith which was once for all delivered to the saints in 70 AD, and God bless.